everybody, my peoples out there. Let me tell you something. Y'all my people. I'm your guy. Y'all my people. The guy on the channel, he's my guy. Let me tell you how much a guy he is of my guy. He a regular on the show. he really, and I'm so happy to, that this has happened. He my first regular. He a threefer to come on Strong Inspirations. That makes you regular. And I tell him, anytime you want to come on, man, just come on. Because, really what happens to everybody, and I'm going to tell you my name in a minute. The hour that I have with these guests in the video ain't all they know. You see what I'm saying? He know more than an hour's worth. So you pick and choose, not pick and choose. You pick at it and, just get that time in. That's what we're doing here. I'm Anthony Brogdon. Like I say, you my people, I'm your guy. And I'm excited that he's come back on. This is Strong Inspirations, where I give it to you straight, no chaser. And my guests give it to you straight, no chaser, because it's on their heart to let you know this history. And this gentleman right here, he live it 24/7 pretty much. He lived almost pretty much. I know he got some downtime, and I'm gonna ask you about that in this history thing. So you're gonna love this. Hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations. Hit the like button on this video, because I know you're gonna like it. You like the last two that he did. You're gonna like this one too, for sure. Hit the notifications bell and tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Don't keep it to yourself. But let me tell you, the people who subscribe, thank you. Because my numbers is getting up, and people retweeting my tweets at A Strong Dream. Some heavyweight folks are retweeting them. All of them, everybody heavyweight, but I ain't gonna lie, them people who got like 60 or 70,000 followers themselves, that call that heavy. You know what I'm saying? But I love everybody, so that ain't no point. Just tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Did you see his last video? This gentleman right here, my man was in the attic of a house that a slave slept in. He points out that is where we suspect my man's bed was. Watch that video. I'm on him still. The first one he did, he talks about how he does this and his project, Slave Dwellers Project. Watch that video. Now I'm gonna divert just a second. Then we go through the spiel. He watch the video I just put up with the Mound Bayou, Mississippi. The slaves was on the plantation. The plantation owner was not that, if you're gonna say, bad of a guy, maybe, or something like that. If there's such a thing for that. And his brother was the worst of them, though. And the black people kind of ran the plantation. And then they left there and said, hey, we ain't got to lay there. We're going to develop our own community, which became Mount Bayou. Incredible story. Watch that video. All right. The people coming on here like this guy and telling this good history. Good stuff. So now you don't be telling nobody that I can't find no good history. Tell them it's that Strong Inspiration. And we're covering the gamut. We go international too. Everybody, I give it to you in another form. I'm a filmmaker. This is a documentary I've done called Business in the Black. It's streaming on Amazon. It starts and ends with a guy at the time was 101 years old. He leads the movie. So watch this. It's streaming on Amazon, Business in the Black, and then read my book, everybody, and check it out. You know what's happening is, and this is what I've been promoting in my Twitter and stuff, is that really what I want to do is just get the word out. So for every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school. I've donated about 300 books so far. Every 10th book I sell, I want people to know that there were slaves who went to college, slaves who owned businesses, slaves who bought their freedom, and so on and so forth. It's in my book, everybody. It's over 200 facts. All the ways slaves gained their freedom. I mentioned in that book in some form or fashion, and some of them sued for. So yeah, do that. Check me out. The website where you can get this information and do the book, so on and so forth, is at businessintheblack.net. Businessintheblack.net. Now, you hear me use this term strong a lot, man. And I'm going to keep saying strong. Strong is my main word. I like some strong. And strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to my guest today. He's a strong soul, brother, for sure. Come on, man, introduce yourself. Thank you for being on with us again.
Yes, my name is Joseph McGill. Thank you, Anthony, for strong inspirations. I'm number. This is number 3 from. So yes, I'm Joseph McGill. I'm the founder of the Slave Dwelling Project, and I as I have described before, for those of you who have seen the 2 prior appearances, the Slave Dwelling Project is a very simple concept. I find slave dwellings wherever they are in these United States, and I spend nights in them. I've been at this thing 12 years, and the reason I do it is because, one could go to a historic site, antebellum site, and you could see the nice, beautiful, attractive places that the people market to get you there. The nice, beautiful big house, the place settings, the grand staircases. But what they were not selling to get the guests there was the slavery that existed there. The people who I shared DNA with, their stories weren't being told. And because their stories weren't being told, and because at the time, 12 years ago, when I started this, I was working for the National Trust for Historic Preservation, a very prestigious national organization that preserves the beautiful buildings. And knowing that there was a method already there to preserve buildings, and being a Civil War reenactor at the time and going around to historic battlefields and doing reenactments and sitting around campfires and having conversations with people I don't generally know. And of course, having the DNA that I possess, all these things came together in this one idea of asking owners of these slave dwellings to spend the night in these places.
Okay, let me stop you there. Because I don't mean no disrespect. When you say dwelling, what do you mean? What's a dwelling? Because the other one you did was an attic. What are other dwellings that you might have stayed in otherwise?
Good question. Because 12 years ago when I started this, I had the word cabin was just etched in my mind as where enslaved people stayed, and it's true. I mean, they did stay in cabins, but that limits us in our way of thinking, because I was about 3 stays into this thing, and then I went to Alabama, the old Alabama town in Montgomery, Alabama, and this place that I was going to stay was not a cabin. It was a two-level, 4 compartments brick structure, not a cabin. So I had to change the name from cabin to dwelling. So the dwelling as defined by me is wherever they inhabited, wherever they lived.
Where did they live though? They lived in the house at times.
At times.
Okay, I'm gonna break it up like this. When they lived in the house, where did they live? What's the options?
It would have been up in the attic or down in the basement. Sometimes if sometimes if the people that they're caring for are infirm, they need health 24/7. Sometimes those enslaved people were with them 24/7 wherever they were. Sometimes they were relegated to a room. Then that means that enslaved person is relegated to the room. Sometimes that enslaved person would sleep on a pallet on the floor beside them, or sometimes right outside the door where they were, so that they could be at their beck and call for whenever they needed assistance.
Okay, wow, deep. Okay, did they ever sleep in tents or something like that, or cabins was about as
Tents, no, no.
Yeah,
It was some type of, usually some type of shelter,
yeah,
something pretty sturdy, like the big house, and substantial like the
yeah,
big house,
yeah,
or
yeah.
the slave dwellings or slave cabins.
Now,
Again,
what was the
as I
cabin
started this,
mostly made out of, and that kind of thing? Who made the cabins and that
they
kind of
were they were pretty simple, made by the enslaved people, just as enslaved people built the nice, beautiful big house they never got credit for. They
thing? Right.
weren't the architects, but they built them. But the cabins were built by the enslaved people. The material usually provided by the enslaver for them to build the cabin or cabins that the enslaved population would live in on that property.
Did the cabins have windows? It had what? It had a roof, a bathroom. Well, maybe not a bathroom, but
Well,
and it's just one room with four walls.
usually shutters
Yeah.
that you can open and close
Oh, really? Okay.
at the appropriate time. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if the cabins were near the big house, they were usually more elaborate than the ones that they would build for the field hands. Of course, for the field hands, you're just trying to get away with the basics. Now, for the ones near the house, you're still trying to get away with the basic, but you want it to look good because it's near your beautiful big house, and you're flaunting your wealth. So you want your visitors to see, that yeah, my enslaved people live here in this nice looking slave
Mm.
dwelling. They weren't any much bigger than the ones for the field hands, but they look better.
Maybe paint it, that kind of thing, like the house paint. Maybe I don't
You
know.
usually
Yeah.
made with the same material as the
Oh.
big house. Again,
Oh.
they're more substantial. If the brick,
Oh.
if the nice beautiful big house is brick, sometimes the slave dwellings
Oh. Okay.
would be brick, because again, it's all about the look and flaunting your wealth.
Well, let me ask you this: with the did the cabins usually come with a fireplace? You see that in the movies.
Almost always. And for the field hands, you would usually see a chimney in the middle, meaning that these are duplexes. As small as they are, there's two families living in them. There's usually if that chimney is in the middle, that means there's a wall dividing the two sides,
Oh,
and that one
really?
chimney in the middle would serve both sides, one side on
I
the left,
got
one
you.
side on the right. Yes.
I got you. Um, there were instances um, where there would be a guy who was enslaved and his wife is free. I know I'm changing the subject, but it's a question came to mind. You know of that dynamic?
Oh yeah, that happened often. Sometimes the enslaved people would have such rare occasions where they could buy their freedom, and sometimes they could only afford to buy his or her freedom. The person who's making that deal, sometimes they can only afford to buy their freedom, where their spouse remains enslaved. Or there are cases where the free blacks of that period may have taken on a spouse, or a common a common bond.
Right,
Marriages weren't really recognized
right,
for black folks.
right.
But in the case of free blacks, there may have been some law that said, well, you could take on a spot and it could be recognized by
Yeah,
by law.
sure.
But yeah, there are occasions where free blacks would marry enslaved people. Yeah.
Well, there's a story, and I know I'm bouncing around. Sorry, but there's a story that Frederick Douglass laid over the feet of his enslaver's wife or something. Have you heard of that?
And I haven't heard about that, but I heard of cases where in enslaved young boys or girls would be used as they call them feet warmers, or bed warmers, if you will, where they would lay close, very close, where the enslaver would sit in a chair and put his feet on the stomach of the enslaved to absorb the heat from their body to warm their feet. Now, I've
Wow.
heard and I've read of those occasions, or a young enslaved child, getting in a cold bed to warm it up for the person getting in the bed, so they to jump into a nice warm bed instead of
Wow.
a cold bed. So there's been those things documented.
Wow. When you go into the houses, these grand houses, uh, do you hear voices?
No, I
Okay.
don't. That's a common question because
Yeah,
again, I've been
yeah,
at this thing 12 years. In
yeah.
fact, it's interesting. I just got an inquiry just last week of a very popular TV show wanting me to appear
Oh man, I
on
love it.
on their show, but it's called Haunted History. I've never seen it.
Okay.
And they gave me the layout of how they do things, and they
Okay.
send people in, and they do their paranormal stuff, and they gather their information, but they counter that with a historian. The historian comes in and usually counters all that they
Yeah, yeah.
experience. Well, they want me to
Sure.
be that historian, but I'm
Okay.
gonna I have my answer, but I'm gonna have to decline
Okay.
because I always have to tell folks this is not what this project is all about. It's about
Okay.
honoring the enslaved ancestors and ancestors and trying to merge in this paranormal stuff devalues the intent of the project.
When you do this and as you have, um, let me see. I guess the question goes. I understand that the motive and what have you and the why. How big can this get for you? Yeah,
Well,
I don't know what that question means, but
well,
how big could this get for you? Because you can
it's
only, I mean, you're gonna run out of them, I guess, eventually.
no, no, can't never can never run out. Here's why. See, a lot of folks think like I thought 12 years ago. My education had slavery relegated to plantations in the South. That's why I initially called it the Slave Cabin Project, based on the education that
Okay,
I
I
got.
got you.
But in other words, I stopped calling that education, and I call it lies that were fed to me,
Okay,
because they had our enslaved people as being happy. They had the enslavers as being benevolent, and again they had slavery relegated to plantations in the South. And
right,
one of the reasons, there's several reasons for that. There's this northern attempt to blame the South for it all, and leave it there. But
right.
but see, here's what I've discovered, and knowing that I cannot fix this in my lifetime, what we took so long to get wrong. Um, I was neglecting urban slavery. You take a historic city like Charleston, South Carolina, where I am. Yeah, there are a lot of plantations around, and you can go there and find those dwellings that I seek to sleep in. You can do it easy, find those places. But what we're missing, even in Charleston, South Carolina, is urban slavery. All this marketing that they do to get people to the city of Charleston does not include those places behind those nice, beautiful antebellum houses that you could see beautiful pictures of. They stay, they stay with the facade, what fronts the
Oh,
street.
I got you. I got
If
you.
if you look down the side and into that alley, these lots are deep, and this is an antebellum structure, which a whole bunch of them are in Charleston.
Okay, hold on. Let me
Behind
stop you
there,
there. Let me
yes.
stop. What does antebellum mean? Say that. Describe. I've heard it. What
Mhm.
does that mean?
It's Antebellum. It
Right.
means prior to slavery. I'm sorry, prior to the Civil War, built before the Civil War.
Okay.
Yeah, before the Civil War, antebellum.
Okay.
And if it's after the Civil War, it's postbellum.
Okay.
So there are a lot of houses built prior to 1860, and these houses that were built during that period of time, there was slavery involved. And if you go behind those nice, beautiful, big houses, then you'll find those places that I'm looking for. Again, this is in the city of Charleston. So that 12 years ago, I was missing all that. And what else I was missing in 12 years ago to let me know that I can never finish this job in my lifetime is that I had slavery relegated to states, southern states. But here's the thing: um, prior to the revolution, there were northern states that enslaved people. They may have been a colony at the time, or they may have been a state
Right. Right. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
still enslaving people.
Right.
But but now here's the catch. Even after those northern states legislatively started emancipating people within their boundaries, they were still complicit. because
Okay.
they still own the banks, they still own the insurance companies, putting insurance on the folks. And then when
Yeah.
I say owning the banks, a lot of these enslavers didn't own these people. The banks did. Because you could mortgage an enslaved person. The average price of an enslaved person going into 1860 was about $600. That in today's dollars, that's a car. But you don't have to buy them outright. You can mortgage them. So the banks own them. You could
Oh,
put
really? Oh,
you could
really?
you could put insurance on them. Those northern states, they still own the ships that were bringing them in, and they own the factory that was adding value to the cotton. So that was being picked in the South. So there are a lot of places, potential places that applies to the definition that I've given to places I could lay
Yeah,
my
to
head.
dwell in. How about this? Could you stretch yours out to? And I know there might be something like this where slaves worked or something like that.
Yes, yeah, yes, definitely. One thing that I want to do is I want to have a conference, our conference this year, the Stoner Rebellion and the Atlantic World. Is going to be our seventh conference. It's going to be here in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay, let me
I,
stop you there. I
yeah,
don't mean no disrespect. So you yourself are hosting through Slave Brothers Project a conference.
yes.
You
Hmm.
want and hope to get 500 people to maybe that show up to your conference.
Yeah, well, 400 or 500 would be quite ambitious and
Okay.
quite hopeful. I'm hoping to get 100 to 200 people at this conference. It's going to be September 8th uh, through the 10th here in Charleston with the College of Charleston.
At the
Um,
College of Charleston.
at the
You
College of Charleston, and
you got
it's
other
also.
speakers that will be at this conference too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I got some big time speakers coming in, and I'm going to drop the website. The website is slavedwellingproject.org.
Yes.
Slavedwellingproject.org. One could go and get more details about the conference. But all the speakers are confirmed. Dr. Edifields is coming in to be one of our keynote speakers. We've got
Let me stop you there.
yes.
Dr. Eddersfield is coming in to speak at a luncheon or at a dinner. What?
she she's going to be the keynote speaker, one of the keynote speakers for the conference.
Okay. Okay.
And we've got other scholars coming in that
Okay.
we've already got them lined up and ready.
Okay.
To come and be a part of this conference. Again, this conference we titled it the Stoner Rebellion and the Atlantic World, where what we want to focus on is that Stoner Rebellion that happened in 1739, where a group of enslaved people band together and had a successful revolt. Successful meaning that they were going from plantation to plantation, killing white folks. And
Mm.
they got about 25 miles south of Charleston, and where they encountered the I wouldn't call them the enemy. They encountered some white folks who resisted and defeated them, and they put some of them were beheaded, head placed on spikes.
Who, the
Their
white folks
goal,
or the black people?
the black folks, it
So
ended there. The resistance ended
I
there,
got you. I got you.
but their goal was to get to Spanish Florida, because Spanish Florida controlled Florida. Spain controlled Florida, and the Spanish were just as vicious of colonizers as the English were, probably more vicious than they were. They controlled Florida. They wanted to disrupt everything north of them. So they got the word out to the enslaved population that if they made it to Florida, they would be free, which was
Okay.
true. So
Okay. Yeah, I got
that was
you.
their destination.
I
But
got
they
you.
didn't make it there. They were captured, and some of them were beheaded, and the others some were hung. Um, and
Okay.
but anyway, that's what the conference is all about.
So
I heard
so
you.
let me ask
Yes.
you this. Excuse me. Let me ask you this. So at the conference, you'll have different sessions that will walk people through this information.
This information and
Yeah, and
other
other.
form of resistance.
Oh,
We're talking about.
really?
Yeah, we the sub title is rebellion, resistance, and resilience. Um, So all of you, we're going to be talking about, Denmark Vesey, Nat Turner, and
Oh, I love it then.
all the resistance. We're going to let folks know
Okay.
that we weren't just sitting idly by, just waiting to be freed. We were proactive
Okay.
in
So,
obtaining
okay.
that freedom.
So over a weekend, you're gonna get a dose of some good stories.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna throw it in there, man.
Yeah,
We
okay, I love
we
it.
we put a lot of time into planning this thing, and again, this is our seventh conference, so
Yeah, right.
we've been at this thing a while.
Yeah, y'all got a party one night?
Yeah, we're gonna have that Pearly Sue and the Gullah Kin folks come
Okay.
and edutain.
Yeah,
I believe she's been one of your guests.
yeah,
So
she has. Oh, yeah,
so
no
you
question. I'm running tall grass here now, my friends. So,
so
but
you
look,
know
I
what
like
she
this. So, I want to get people so that somebody see it because they only got a short period of time to register
Mhm,
right now. You
mhm.
can go on your website and
Yes.
register. What hotel do you stay
It's the Embassy Suites in Charleston, in the
in?
city.
Okay,
Yes.
downtown or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No, it'll be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Oh,
Saturday is mainly tours. That tour that we're going to have on Saturday is going to be covering that route that the enslaved people took as they left Charleston, and
I love it.
to a destination where they encountered the resistance.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's what that tour is going to be about on that Saturday. And also, I don't know if you've had Chef BJ Dennis on your show yet. If you haven't, you should.
Yeah.
But he's world renowned, and he's going to be our chef at this place where we're going to end up. And then he's going to cook us a meal out at the site as the way our enslaved ancestors would have done it. And we're going to be sleeping overnight at that site. So yeah, it's a
So
complete
yours is
package.
not a regular conference. Yours is a gathering of people to give them this good information.
Yeah, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it in a way that's we got our scholars, doing what the scholars do. We got our site managers doing what they do. We got our genealogists. We got our archaeologists. We got all these folks, man, to make this thing exciting. All these different sessions for the folks to come in and learn about how we resisted, how we rebelled, and the resilience that was necessary for us to be who we are today.
Yeah. Excuse me for doing this. But let's go back to the party. The party is what night?
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Well,
It's a
no, no,
gala.
no. Let me go back. Let me go back. Aunt Pearly Sue is Friday night. Aunt
Okay.
Pearly Sue and the Gullah Kin folks is Friday night at the Embassy Suites.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to be a sit down occasion. It's going to be dinner theater is what it's going to be.
I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
then Saturday is like the tour, and then there's a gala or something Saturday night, maybe.
Saturday is the tour,
Yeah.
which will end up at a place called Caw.
Yeah, and
Again,
that's where he cooks the food.
that's where he cooks the food. Now, for the tour, at the end of the tour, there's going to be a meal for the folks coming on that tour. But that night, we're going to be serving dinner. And there he's going to be outside, barbecuing the hog outside.
Oh,
And there are more elements of the menu. But folks, we're going to have our conversation as we usually have. But that's a
yeah.
slave dwelling
Okay.
project signature. We're going to do that, and then
Okay.
a few of us are going to be sleeping at the site. They didn't want a whole bunch because they didn't want to. They don't have a lot of buildings out there. They're afraid of copperheads and all that stuff. So we're going to limit the number of people that can spend the night with me that night at that site. But that'll be
Copperhead
Saturday night.
snakes.
Copperhead snakes, yeah.
Y'all getting really down. Let me ask you this. So, this is a crazy question. How you dress, man? Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. You wearing just,
Well,
um,
it depends. As I go from site to site, I got a period outfit that I wear sometimes. I usually wear it more when I'm not traveling alone. I got a team of living historians that I travel with sometimes, and usually when I travel with them, I'm in my period outfit because my team are living historians. We, in addition to what I do, to what is the nucleus of this, sleeping in the slave cabins, having the conversations around the campfire before we sleep in the slave cabins. If I bring a team with me, we're doing living history. We're demonstrating those things our enslaved ancestors would have done:
Oh,
cooking,
really? Okay.
blacksmithing, brick making, storytelling. I got a team of folks who brings all that with us.
Yeah.
So if my host can afford all that, then they could get that package
Yeah.
if they want to.
Yeah. I got you. I got you. What
Mhm.
about this? But like yours is special, and at the same time, y'all gonna have a good time there too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lovely time. One goal of these gatherings, these conferences that we do, is, you know, one could go to a conference within one's field, within one's genre. We bring a lot of disciplines together. We bring these site managers, we bring these scholars, and then we bring, archaeologists, genealogists, and then everyday people to come, we make learning fun. you know
Okay.
Learning, if you kind of in your world doing things the way you do, it gets a little monotonous. And
Yes.
not that that's a bad thing, but what we do, we bring all these folks together in these conferences to let folks know that we need to know this information, but it doesn't have to be boring. So
Yeah.
that's why we do it in the manner that we do it.
Not just boring, but I mean, like two days of some of that history. Well, this is a good story for the most part, but some of the other could be a little mind draining. So you do things so that it's not mind draining. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
we let folks know that there's more where this came from.
yeah,
We're gonna, if you wanna join us at one of these sites, you look at the schedule and see
yeah.
when we're gonna be in a
Okay.
place.
So you
We're
can
gonna be in a
come just
place
for
near
one
you.
day too, though.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to come to the conference just for one day, yeah, you can do that.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That's a good thought. Y'all gonna have some sweet tea or y'all something like that nearby? Is that
Yeah,
is that the drink of Charleston?
it is the South. Yeah, they're gonna have some sweet tea.
Yeah, yeah.
And then our chef, man, he's, like I said, he's gonna be barbecuing that pig. We're gonna be on a call. We're gonna be at a former rice plantation. So there's gonna be some rice involved. You got to get
Oh,
that history in there.
really?
Yeah,
I love
and
it.
some, yeah,
You
some
got
shrimp.
vendors? You got vendors?
No, no vendors,
No
no
vendors.
vendors. Yeah.
Is there, well, last question in Charleston, uh, what can you see some other things near that embassy suites too? I mean, you downtown, you can see the different sites, this old slave mart, that kind of thing is walking distance.
Yeah, yeah. You can see all that. All that's there. You
Yeah.
could walk if you really got energy. You could walk all the way down to the Battery if you like.
Okay.
That's where the point. The two rivers, the Ashley River and the Cooper River, meet at that point. That's where Charleston in 1680 decided that they wanted to be in that spot because they feared what the Spanish had the potential to do, and they wanted a vantage point to see them coming if they came. So that's where they eventually established themselves because they were further inland before they moved to that spot now. So all that history is involved in this historic city of Charleston. But what the slave dwelling does, it lets the public know that to obtain all that this city was and is, they took a lot from our ancestors. They stole their labor, and our ancestors resisted against all that, and that's what this conference will
That's
highlight.
it. I love it. Give us the name of the conference again.
The conference is the Stono Rebellion and the Atlantic World. Now we put the Atlantic World in there to let folks know that of our diaspora, that we were they took us out of Africa and they deposited us in some places on this Atlantic Ocean. Because if we look at the fact that approximately 12 million people made it across the Atlantic Ocean alive, taken out of Africa, only 500,000 were shipped to the United States. The majority of them were shipped to South America.
Right.
In those points in between, those Caribbean islands, comparatively, little small Cuba got 1.2 million. And in all those places, we were resisting, that institution that was imposed on us. So we're going to be stressing all this in this conference.
You're gonna walk out there and be like, yeah, we got him today. Yeah, we got him again. Yeah, we got him again. Let me tell you, everybody, that's you see how I got to and he did it, got to the emphasis. Come on down if you want to hear how we won. Isn't that
Yes,
kind of, yeah, we
yes,
won
yes,
this
yes,
one. Some we
yes.
didn't win, but we won along the way.
Yeah,
So on
we
and so forth.
yeah, it was always necessary for us to be on our toes. Again, those three key words: rebellion, resistance, resilience. That's in our DNA, to do those things. And if we transfer that to today, we're still doing it. We're still fighting that. We're still fighting that same fight. So we're just trying to connect those dots to let folks know that these things that we're dealing with today, all this racism, this prejudice, this thing has some history, and we just want to make clear where all that came from. We were pretty hypocritical when we were forming ourselves as a nation. You look at that Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. Well, then, if that's true, why is 3/5 a fraction? If we look at that Constitution, we the people. Well, if you weren't in that room, that Constitution meant nothing to you. It had to be amended many times to include me and folks who look like me. And we want folks to know that this structural this systemic racism is baked in, and there's all this implicit bias that's that's attached to what we do. And let me make this point.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago, Airbnb got called out for renting former slave dwellings as places of luxury where you could come and experience a night in a slave cabin, but with all the modern conveniences. They got called out, and they wound up apologizing and pulling that particular site from their advertising. So that's that implicit bias that I mentioned. In these people's eyes, they're doing nothing wrong. Well, the slave dwelling project brings light to that also. Well, you are doing something wrong because you're still benefiting from that institution of slavery. And if you want to continue to benefit from that institution of slavery, think about reparations. If you're going to invite somebody to a site like this, well, then a portion of that, whatever you charge these folks, should go to reparations funds.
It's funny you said that, and I like that, because I had said to a lady that I had on the show who I don't remember what location. I said, now, do the descendants should get a portion of the proceeds going, coming in the door at the plantation or something, and then set up an organization. And she said she wasn't sure if that was happening that often or at all.
I don't think it's happening at all, but I think it's a good idea. If you think about now, we don't have the Aunt Jemima image, we don't have the Uncle Ben's image. That's gone. But I think a better solution to that would be keep those images, but let a portion of every sale go to a reparations fund. I think that has some relevance. So what that does is it lets folks know that we did some wrong. All these corporate places that were exploiting that image or using that image to sell their products, then you should be. It's like the Brooks Brothers. Brooks Brothers historically made their money from selling clothing to enslavers to clothe their enslaved people. Those coachmen, those butlers, all that stuff. And if they also had a cheaper form of cloth that they sold to these enslavers for their field hands. They benefited. They always benefited historically. Now they still exist. This company is still around. I think a portion of every sale from the Brooks Brothers should go towards some type of fund. A lot of folks, when they hear the word reparations, they go scurrying in the other direction. They want to hear it. They'll lock you out because they don't want to, they don't want to be the ones to pay. They don't think our government should be the ones to pay. Well, who should pay? If you designate a portion of every sale from these places still benefiting from that institution of that
Right.
subject matter
Right.
to a fund, then that'll take care of that.
Y'all will probably talk about that at the conference too, in some respects.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we talk about all that, man. We put it
I
out
love
there.
it. Hey, everybody, this is what I do with Strong Inspiration. You see how me and my man, I sit back in the chair and I'm lounging and we just rapping and y'all just get to see us rap. Hey, check out his conference. I ain't gonna ask him how much it costs, but it's reasonable.
Yeah.
It's reasonable.
Go to the website.
Go to the website.
Slavedwellingproject.org. It's all there. It's all there.
Like all them people in Charleston and nearby area who ain't got to drive far, they should go. And then if you can, get on down there, go on and check it out because it sounds real good. I like the concept. And like I said, you can do a day rate too, and say, I want to just see this.
Yeah,
everybody, Strong Inspirations. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notifications bell, tell somebody, check out his website. And check out that conference. You got 3 days. You get there Thursday night. You're out of there on Friday, Saturday night, really Sunday.
Yeah, get there Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday. Get there Wednesday night. And you're going to have the time of your life. And you're going to be around other like-minded people.
Aunt Pearlie Sue.
Yep, as she is. And you get to meet this brother. You get to meet this man who is the most serious slave dwelling, living, doing expert there is. Nobody bigger than him. You want to meet this guy. So do that, everybody. And to you, my brother, I say this, and I mean this with all sincerity. Thank you again, first of all, for coming back on the show. It's anytime. And that I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love what you're doing.
All right, beautiful. Hopefully the next time I talk to you, I'll be talking about the upcoming book. But let's save that for later. I'll get the manuscript finished, and I'll be able to talk about it much more.
It's on and popping. Peace. Thank you.